Hello guys, I am back. Why? I guess today I'm just in a talking mood. Sunday. I actually don't think it's Monday blues. It's the Sunday blues. Okay. So now we're gonna be talking about something that I wrote yesterday as I was driving, and then I just got to thinking, because I was driving and my brain was twitching thinking about things I judge, and I caught myself immediately and said, what? No, we're not gonna do that. So, as the title says, it is about you admire what you judge. You admire what you judge. Let's move this a little bit, actually, like that. I'm sorry for the angle. Because when the light is directly at me, it's so bad. And so, oh, that's better. Okay, so the first point that we have today is if you hate how someone is, oh, this is very specific, I guess. It's if you hate how someone is dressing, you admire their confidence to do it. And I think this goes for everything, literally everything. And I'm not saying you admire how they're dressing, you admire their confidence to dress that way. For example, older women, or even middle-aged women, or even women on my age. Because for me, when I grew up, it was very kiddish wear. I remember going to Claire's and going to Justice to get a bunch of stuff, whereas the people who are 13, 14 at our age are wearing tube tops and wearing things that to me I would deem inappropriate. Number one, I do not have the place to judge at all. Who am I? Honestly, sometimes you have to look at yourself and gain some humility and say, who am I to tell them what to wear? No. If they're not my kid, if they're not under my guidance, it's okay, you know? But sometimes I look at them, and I remember walking around the mall, shopping by myself, and I'm thinking, why do I feel so negatively about how such and such is dressing, you know? And I think it comes from a little hint of admiration of someone doing what they want. So I don't admire how they're dressing necessarily. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think if you judge something, especially with small things, because it doesn't make any sense for you to have such negative connotations about something so small, so minute, as small as a rice grain compared to everything else in life. There has to be something there, you know? So even with, I wrote, if you hate how someone is loud and obnoxious, and not in a way as regular annoyance, then you admire their ability to be themselves. Such as when you're in a party and you see someone who is talking, and you just can't stand, you know that feeling when you just can't stand someone for no reason, and you're just, oh my goodness, I have a friend like that, or I had a friend like that, who just used to talk. And I used to be because I'm more reserved, especially with a lot of people. But I realized, and I even told my mom this, I realized I really admire her, the way she's just herself. She'll just stay herself. She'll just say something when it comes to her mind and everything. And it's just so charming. I think the charming part isn't the fact that she speaks a lot. The charming part is that she is herself and just doesn't really care about that sort of thing. I really hope that makes sense. But as a whole, those 2 points basically say that anytime you feel any sort of negative, any judgments towards anything in life, I think it's important to take a step back and ask yourself where that is coming from. If you feel some people who drive really nice cars, they look at someone and they're like, okay, why are you driving that, you know? Or, wow, that's an old car. If not, just asking why. Ooh, that's an old car. Ooh, that's a beat-up car. Why get that beat-up car when you can get a new car for the same price without having to fix everything, you know? I think, number one, check yourself, gain some humility. It's really, you don't know any better than anyone. You really don't. You really don't. And I think life shows us that many, many times. You realize every single mistake that you made, you should actually take it as wow, okay, this is proof that I don't know any better than anyone. So I should never, ever, 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 ever look down on anyone for any of their decisions, from what they wear, from their piercings, from their tattoos, for anything, you know? So that's a very simple number one. Number two is a little bit deeper. I said if you judge how someone is handling a situation, sometimes, not all the time, most times, let's put it, it can mean that you wish you had the ability to do so, or you are shocked to do so, or you are shocked that they can make their choices selfishly or for themselves. And when I say selfishly in this scenario, it doesn't mean in a negative way. I think it's good when some people are selfish sometimes, because I don't know why, for some reason the world is very people do things for others all the time, important, yes. But at some point, you gotta realize you're the one who's by yourself all the time. Do a little something for yourself, you know? Anyways, so basically, people handle situations very differently. For example, breakups. Breakups, especially in your young adulthood or teenagehood, is something that you can see that people handling differently. Some people handle breakups by crying themselves to sleep and watching TV for the next 2 months and just being lazy and just only work home, work home. They get into a little bit of a depressive phase, and it's not a serious depression. It makes sense because they're grieving their relationship, which, zero judgment about that. Some people go through breakups by dating, serial dating, finding out what they like, and you'd be shocked. So many people say that means that you haven't been over that person or whatever. Again, humble yourself. You don't know what's in their head. Do not spread whatever is going on in your chest to someone else. No, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know if they're over the person or not, right? But that can be frowned upon. That can be frowned upon by a lot of people, where I've caught myself because I had a coworker who was always one gone, on to the next. And I remember thinking, like, gosh, like, oh my goodness, she's collecting them like infinity stones. Like, damn, that's crazy, you know? And I also had to humble myself. Like, I really don't know. And I checked myself one day and realized that it's because I admire that she does that, knowing that people will talk negatively about it. That, to me, is, like, it's extremely, like, good for you. Anything that someone would do knowing that they're gonna get negative judgment for, I applause to you. I don't even care what it is. I really don't care what it is. As long as it's not illegal, murder, or bad for your body, amazing. Perfect for you, you know? Amazing. And I think that can happen with a lot of things. How people handle stressors. For example, my parents, my generation at least, my parents are very very, like, you know, I don't know how to put this in a way that it's gonna sound positive, because I do not mean for it to be negative, but very, when something happens, when something bad happens, they can get very stressed and, like, overridden by the situation. And I think sometimes for people, some situations, let's put it that way, some people think that because something bad happens to you, you have to let the negative thing consume you, the negativity consume you, otherwise you're not actually dealing with the problem. What are you talking about? Like, people who lose their job, and people think, oh my goodness, you must be so stressed, you lost your job, you got laid off, like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Your parents are like, you're too calm about this, like, you have to speed it up, you gotta find your job. Because for some reason, stress equals solving a problem. Those two do not go together at all, in my humble opinion. And then some people will handle the situation in the opposite way, and they're stressed, and they're like, oh my goodness, they're calling their parents, but at least their parents know, oh my goodness, it makes sense that she's stressed, and at least we know that she's thinking about her next move and finding a job, you know? And then you can receive judgment for being the latter, where you're just like, okay, you know what, I guess I'll apply for my jobs, but life goes on, I'm still gonna grocery shop, I'll still hang out with my friends, I'll be at peace, I'm gonna get sleep at night regardless. And that can also be seen, like, negatively, like, oh my goodness, she's not working hard, like, all these things, you know? And I think it's important to realize that would show you, if you feel negatively about someone doing something like that and someone choosing peace over stress in any life situation, then you just have a problem. You have the wrong idea on, like, okay, in my humble opinion, okay? I think there is a problem there, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't see the correlation between stress and problem solving whatsoever, and I don't see the correlation of you feeling like someone should be stressed and branching them or naming them as lazy or all these things. I think you, in some type of way, people who would do those sort of things, deep down you admire their ability to be calm in a situation like that, because you know if that happened to you, your mind would be like doodles, like, you know how you can doodle on a paper? It would be that scrambled up. And so you're thinking, if roles were reversed, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, so how are you sleeping at night? There's something to be learned there. I think that's a little bit weird. If you break it down, to me, that looks a little bit weird, because number one, you should be able to get sleep either way. I don't think it's normal for you to be stressed. I've said that 3 times now, but I'm really emphasizing that. Number two, you should applaud people who react that way, and you shouldn't branch them as lazy or whatever. You don't know what they're doing in their free time. You don't know when they're sleeping. You don't know anything like that. And even if you do, it's not in your place. Humble yourself for 2 seconds. Just step aside, humble yourself, and respect their decision. In the last video, I talked about respecting people's decisions in everything. And I think this is one of those situations where you just have to respect them and respect how they are reacting. It is not your place whatsoever to transfer your judgment over to anyone else, or to transfer whatever you're thinking over to anyone else if you are not given the space to do so at all. Do not give advice when not asked for advice. That's something that my mom has really, really followed well when I became an adult. Do not. If it's not asked for, it's not going to be getting into someone's head. It will be No, don't. Don't at all, okay? I think you should look inwards and see why you feel so strongly about something that has nothing to do with you, or even if it's with a loved one, of course it's connected to you in some sort of way, but I don't think it's something that you should have such strong connotations of, or even opinions of. I think if I was in such a situation, I'd just be like, or I'd want to be like, okay, it's good that she's not losing her marbles over something like that, you know? I think we as a society always say peace, 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 find peace, whatever. But then when it's time for someone to do that, then everyone looks at them like, oh my goodness, are they lazy? Are they not doing what they're supposed to do, you know? Okay, the fourth thing that I have to say is, this is, this is so specific. If you judge a classmate for what, this is important. And you know why it's important? I have gone through this every single day of my life, I think, since like age 12. If you judge a classmate or anyone for wanting to become a singer, an actor, an influencer, you admire their ability to make those choices, to step out and be okay with the embarrassment, with the judgment. So you, the judger, wish that was you. Like, wish 1,000% that was you. Like, I know because I have a YouTube channel now, right? I remember thinking that was so embarrassing for people to, like, put themselves out there in life, just because I wanted it so bad. I am the perfect example. And if you're someone who is seeking, like, anything that requires you to step out of the box, any career, any path in life that requires you to step out of the box, and you've gotten some negative remarks, negative whatever, just know from someone who used to be the one who had those negative remarks, it is pure jealousy. And if it's not branched as jealousy, just know it's just someone who wants to be you, who wishes they had the courage to make the decisions that you're making right now. Very straightforward, in my opinion. I think if you feel negatively about what someone is doing in their life, again, check yourself. You should humble yourself and know that you don't have a say in what someone is doing in their life, so it should not bother you even for a second. If you're scrolling and you see someone singing, whether they're singing badly or well, it shouldn't really matter. If they're singing horribly, you can make a laugh and, like, keep it pushing. You shouldn't have such a strong reaction to things like that. Anyway, so the last part that I have about this is, how do we stop this? I wrote that by changing our, by changing our reaction to admiration and applause, even if you may not want whatever you're judging for yourself. I think I wrote this late at night. Anyways. Yes, I think changing our reaction to admiration and applause, even if we don't want whatever they're doing, is so important. As in, every single time, you just switch it. If you're scrolling on your screen and you see someone who is, like, trying to be an influencer or trying to be a model or whatever, and they're really, really trying, and you feel some sort of negative way about it, I think the best thing to do is change it to applause and actually be, wow, you know what, I admire them for doing this. And not because you want to be the exact same thing or you want to put yourself out there like that, but because it shows that you don't have the courage to do anything to put yourself out there. That's why you're judging them. And if you change that to admiration, soon enough you'll gain the courage to do what you want yourself. It's just not normal to be judgmental, especially strongly judgmental, about something that has nothing to do with you, because they shouldn't elicit negative emotions or responses. That's not normal. It really is not normal. And I think stepping aside and thinking about that for myself, I keep using the word stepping aside, I realized how, like, weird it is and how much energy it takes. I could be using that energy, like, to do so many things, to think about so many things, to think about business ideas, to think about great things, to think about my garden that I want to make. But instead I'm thinking about, you know, it really doesn't make sense. And I think it's important to actually know that and take steps towards it. And another thing is that the only thing that you need to take towards it, though, because it can be kind of overwhelming. I remember first being like, ooh, I need to work on this. And it was kind of like a huge project that just felt like a huge load on my back. is being aware of it is enough. It'll come as soon as you're aware of it. You will know how to react to everything. You will know how you're supposed to work on that judgment, because I feel like our brains are not supposed to be that judgmental. So I think if you replace it with admiration, it'll be so easy. Even you won't even be aware of like the progress that you're making. When you're aware of the progress that you're making, I think is after, because I really had all these thoughts after all that stuff, like when I started admiring the girl in my class or whatever, when she came into the room and just talked and hugged everyone. When I started looking at it from a point of admiration, then after, a couple months after, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's progress. I guess that's great. And now anytime I walk in public, I don't judge anyone. That should be normal. That sounds like I was a prick who was going around judging people. No. But I mean like I don't judge anyone at all. I think very rarely do I have any feelings of judgment towards people in terms of looks and all that stuff. Now, here's the important part. Disclaimer. This is extremely difficult for family and anyone that you love. It is so easy to judge them from a good place. You want them to do well. You want them to be better. You want them to not make the same mistakes as you. You want them to not be sad. You want them to not be mad at themselves, to not have regret. And it comes from a good place. But you have to understand that you have no place in what someone does with their life or what someone is doing with their life. You don't. Don't be the type of person who gives unsolicited advice. You're not going to gain any respect from that person, and it's just not. I just don't think it shows that you respect them. If you respect someone, respect them enough to make their own decisions. And if you respect someone, then you love them. If you love someone and you're not respecting their decisions, then that's not love. That's not the correct form of love. That's not loving them in the correct way. Unconditional love is unconditional love for a reason. You should love them no matter what decision that they choose. Of course, not harming people, not harmful to the environment, other people, or themselves, but you have to respect people's decisions. And when it comes to even controversial topics like abortion, a bunch of stuff, you know, things that really only have to do with themselves, you have to respect them, especially when it comes to family. That's when it's going to become difficult. So I would advise practicing it with strangers and friends and people who are not too close to you. Friends, like acquaintances type of thing, and then moving to your closer circle after, and respecting their decision for what it is, not giving advice when you don't have to give advice, and honestly realizing that you don't know more than them. You don't have any sort of experience or chip that gives you the answer to everything, you know? So yeah, and also reflecting on your own mistakes and knowing that you too have made mistakes. It's not the end of the world if someone is making a mistake, because there's many decisions that could be a mistake. Buying a luxurious car when you don't make enough money to be affording that lease payment or whatever. Different things could be mistakes, but you have to respect someone enough to know that they'll be able to handle it. Again, love is respect. Loving someone is respecting someone. If you love someone and you don't respect every single decision they're making, doesn't mean you have to agree, okay? But you do not push your judgment. That is respect. When you're not pushing your judgment in what they have to say, you respect that they'll be able to handle it if it turns wrong. That is the love that we should all be reaching for with our partners, with our parents, with our kids, with anyone, you know? And I think when you do those things, your relationships will flourish in a different way, because people to be honest, it's not even about how they even see you or how much they can come to you about different things. No. In your insides, you will be good. And the thing is, you'll start treating yourself that way too. You won't be so scared of judgment. I think that's even why I started this channel, is because I started respecting people who were in my closer circle that also decided to just go out there and do whatever they want, whether it was moving countries, whether it was wanting to become a musician, whether it was literally anything, you know? It will help you yourself too. You're not gonna feel so much judgment towards yourself once you stop judging people, because it's like a circle. You judge others, you judge yourself. You stop judging others, you stop judging yourself. It's not vice versa. You don't stop judging yourself and then you stop judging others. No, you stop judging yourself and then the other one comes naturally. It's like a domino effect. Anyways, as you can see, I've run out of energy. My eyes are sleepy. I will have a cup of tea and go back to my homework because I have a midterm on Tuesday. But thank you for watching this video, and thank you for 30 subscribers. Wow.